that your hips will have to move. Our ankles come out and then we unbalance. And we're going to come up and we're going to push through the toes and take the knees out. Hi guys, we're going to get straight into it today. We're going to be talking actually about the feet. Now the feet don't seem like they're that important, but actually just a little experiment for you to try. If you were to try and not move your toes, not bend through the balls of your feet and to try and walk, you'll actually find that your hips will have to move and your knees will do very little bending to get you where you need to go to. Now if you change that and you actually walk through the balls of your feet, you'll find your hips are quite level and there's less effort going into the hips and to the knees. So by opening the base of the feet and really getting this joint here active, you're going to feel like you've got a better posture. You're going to feel less tired. You're going to have less wear and tear on your knees. It's going to help protect your knees. So what do we do? So you're going to need a chair. So first of all, we want to think about our positioning with our feet. Now, if you bring your feet together and then take them out like Charlie Chaplin or ballerina, and then take your feet down to the sides. You're going to get that hips distance apart with the feet. And then just very gently, just turn your feet so that the edges of your feet are parallel to the sides of the mat. What you'll find is you'll have a slight pigeon toe effect, but that's okay. So and just find yourself comfortable within that. Just standing up nice and tall. I just want you to drop your arms down by your sides, push your knees together, round them out, and you'll feel the weight move to the little toes of the feet and then come back up and keep those knees outwards. With your tailbone, you want to make sure that you're not arching through the front of your body, and you just want to let that tailbone gently open the lower back. So if you kind of contract through the front of your body here and tilt your tailbone forward, what you'll find is your lower back will ease off. And that's quite important because we put a lot of effort into our lower back. So just by standing up properly, we're going to take the strain out of that. So with the feet, that slight pigeon toe underneath the body, lifting the body, open collarbone. So we feel very open, but we're not lifting and opening and putting pressure on the spine. So think about the rib cage and think about the two edges of the rib cage and coming together, knitting. They're called knitting the rib cage together. Knit those bones together and you'll naturally find that your spine will do this kind of movement and you'll just feel the back again open up. So through the movement of the pelvis and through here, you're going to be able to alleviate pain in the back. So here we are. Just pop your hands on your hips for a moment. Bring your knees together out. Take the weight through your little toes. Keep the feet firmly on the ground. Tilt the tailbone very gently to open up the lower back. Keep this bit knitted, open up the collarbone, and then just imagine you're on a string falling from the ceiling, like a puppet, so just nice open feeling with the head. Now, just take your arms down by the sides of the body and just open up your shoulders and draw your hands down and just point your fingers and open up your fingers for a moment. So you can be very strong in this position. We're going to make this position very active by really kind of reaching down, lifting and opening the body. Keep remembering your position just here though. Take a nice slow breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, just keep the toes spread and just let the body kind of root, feel like it's pushing down into the ground. And if you want, and if you feel brave, but don't worry if you don't want to, you can close your eyes and then try and move the weight into the front of your toes without clawing the toes into the ground, and then take the weight back towards your heels. And you'll feel, if your eyes are closed, you will feel like you're having to really concentrate, even potentially contracting through the core, through the tummy muscles, to stop yourself from falling backwards and forwards. And then just find that point where you feel the weight is very centrally in the middle of the feet. So not in the toes, not in the heels, not on the outsides of the feet, just very in the middle. So you've got like if you think about from the edges of the insides of the toes from here, down and then across the heels. So it's almost like a square position and your weight wants to be centrally in that point. So just let's have a little, and it's such a simple move, but when you get this right and you're standing and you're waiting for something, if you can just get your posture right, it stops you from sort of sitting on one side or slumping on your hips. So it's going to be very, very beneficial for you for very, very little work. So from here, we're just going to bend in towards our toes. Now I've got a chair for a good reason, because we're not trying to work on balance, we're trying to work on opening up the toe joints. So don't worry, you don't have to try and challenge yourself to be in balance. This is not what this is about. So what we want to do is we want to come up onto the tops of our toes. So that's why we've got the chair to balance. But what tends to happen is we go up, our ankles come out and then we're unbalanced. So if we actually come up, keep the toes spread, and then kind of think about the knees, just drawing the thighs in towards each other, you'll feel the weight go into the balls of your toes, near your big toe. And it's going to open up the back of your toes. And really pull your thighs up tight, pull your core in, and feel that stretch happen through the back of the toes. And then very gently, you're going to come back down. Now, when it regards to energy, a lot of the meridians start or finish in the toes and in the face and the hands. So when we're actually opening up the feet like this, we're helping with that energy flow. So let's go down again. Let's come up again. Let's go onto the tops of those toes. And then down. And what I want you to do from here is when you're down, again, you don't necessarily have to have the chair for this position, but if you do, that's absolutely fine. Just make sure your tailbone's slightly tilted so your body's up nice and straight. And you're going to take the knees in and over the toes, in front of the toes and over the toes. We're not going into a chair. So just bring down and sink in and over the toes. Back is open, so you're tilting the tailbone here. And what you're going to feel is in your shins, you're going to feel quite a lot of pressure, and the back of your Achilles tendons up into your calves, that's going to feel like it's stretching. That's what you want. You want that nice kind of lowered position. And you're going to challenge yourself. Challenge yourself not to lift your heels off the ground for the moment. Challenge yourself to make sure your pelvis is in the right place and your back's not actually active. And just contract through the tummy muscles here. Pull your hips in towards each other. Now reach out to hold onto your chair or whatever it is, your wall or wherever you're near. And what you want to do is keep your heels in that straight line again. And we're going to come up and we're going to push through the toes. But have you noticed, I didn't lift my hips up. My hips were level. It was just the bending of the knees. And I can feel my weights going through to my little toes. So I'm going to round them through to my knees. And then place the heels back down and come back up and release. And we're going to do that again. So we're going to come down, make sure the tailbone's right, make sure the back's open, steady ourselves, body's nice and high, shoulders are nice and easy and relaxed. Come up onto the tops of our toes. Keep contracting here, because although we're not trying to concentrate on balance, it's going to help with your posture and your positioning. Pull your knees in towards each other so they're not flaying out to the side. The weight's in the balls of the feet. Place the feet back down and stretch back up again. We're going to do that one more time. Let's add some breath in. We don't want you holding your breath. So we're going to come down. Breathe in, nice open position, then exhale, place the heels down and come back up and just let your hips have some movement and a release. And you're going to feel that's going to be effective quite a lot on the tops of your knees. Now, from your feet, we're going to take that a little bit further and it's going to be a little bit more uncomfortable. I want you to see if you can put your weight onto one side on the edge of your foot so that you can feel this area here is beginning to open. And if you're holding on and you feel nice and strong and you're contracting in the right places, if you feel comfortable, you can take that weight from side to side. Now I've got quite a lot of flexibility in my heels and I'm quite strong, but I do know it's uncomfortable, even for me, to be on this edge of my foot. So you might want to be still, but try not to slouch and lose your positioning. Stay up nice and high. And breathe. So take that breath in through the nose, keep the mouth closed if you can. Take a nice long breath in. And as you exhale, kind of relieve the lungs and yourself, just nice, soft. And just melt into the foot. And let's do that again. Big deep breath in. And then melt into the foot again. And then very gently come back over. And just anywhere that feels it needs to just become back alive again. Let's do that on the other side. So we're going to take it over to the edge. Again, not comfortable for everyone. You can either bring, I'm just leaning to one side, but if you want to bring your prop over to lean onto, then do so. Again, we're going to step nice and high. We're going to breathe in and keep that chest open. We relax and melt into that foot, and if you want to sway, you can do. But the thing is that try not to kind of be uncomfortable. Kind of relax into it, because we hold so much tension in our ankles, and when we can release that tension and in the toes, we do feel a lot more relaxed and a lot more refreshed. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're aiming for, to feel a bit better in ourselves. Let's take another big deep breath in. Let that breath go. and then come back to centre, nice and gently. And again, just let that foot have a little bit of movement. Now, we did before where we went and we came onto the tops of our toes. We're going to do something very similar, but we're going to change it very slightly. So just let your feet fall into a position, less pigeon-toed, just kind of feeling what feels neutral and natural to you. And sometimes, actually, you might find that you find one foot's turned in and it feels good. So it shows that your hip is perhaps slightly twisted or your glute's not turned on at the back. Just something to be aware of for another time. But if we can, we're going to just bend the knees slightly and then take them out to the sides and take the weight through the little toes. If this is too much, just do one foot at a time. You don't have to do both toes, this is more of a challenge. But again, contracting through your tummy muscles and making sure your lower back isn't engaged here. And then back up. Let's do that again. So we're going to just take it out to the sides. So we're going through the little toes here. And again, 1 foot or 2 foot, whichever one foot suits you, and back down, and then back up. And you're going to feel like your ankles want to swell and move, so allow that to happen. So as you do it, don't just stretch through the toes, stretch through the top of the ankle, like nice round movement, both directions, just a couple of times. And then with the tips of your toe, just start to make a smile. Draw a smile with your big toe from side to side, or perhaps it looks like windscreen wipers on a car. Just from side to side. And then flex the foot and try and do the same thing, but it's more like you're turning the foot from side to side rather than smiling. Or you can smile though. And let's do that on the other side. So let's make a smiley face with the foot. And you can smile on your face as well, because the more smiles, the more joy you bring in, the more joy it generates in the energy centres in your body. So even if you feel down, nice big smile is going to change that. And again, let's just turn it. Put that smile on your face. And then, just let your hips have some movement. You're going to feel your knees have been under a little bit of pressure there. Let's move this out the way. We don't need it necessarily, but if you do feel you need to come back to it, it's there if you need it. So we're going to do a chair pose. Now we all know what chair pose is, but actually there's a lot when I teach students and clients that can be done wrong and exacted wrong. So very similar to what we did before, we're going to make sure those feet are in a straight line, slightly pigeon-toed maybe, perhaps. Now, chair pose can be done in a few ways. The first way is that you can bring the feet together, push the knees together, and when you go down, you've got that. You can support yourself by popping a block in between your knees so that when you go down, your knees may want to press in, but you've got the support and there is a distance between the knees. Or you're going to round through the little toes a little bit, open up the knees, and go down. And the same principles we had before, we're going to come down, keep the lower back engaged by tilting the not engaged by tilting the pelvis and coming down. Now this isn't chair pose, obviously, but this is your starting position. Now we're going to explore with the pelvis. As we lean forward, take the weight back, imagine you're searching for a chair behind you with your bottom. Your weight's going to come forward, because what tends to happen is people go really far back, then they want to look up and they put an arch in their lower back. So to stop that, we're going to go down, take the bottom out behind us, let the body come forward, find where it feels comfortable. So you're the weight's through the legs, not necessarily in the knees. And then if you want, you can take the weight forward and backwards, explore with the pelvis. Make sure you feel like whatever position you've chosen, you're upright in a way that feels comfortable without any pressure on the lower back. You can adjust the pelvis to suit that. And then if you want to take the hands up, you can. And if you want to go lower and challenge yourself, you're going to stay still, as in not going travelling backwards and forwards, but you can just lower yourselves down into the position. And again, you can move through the pelvis and explore. Once you find a position where you feel like you think you're going to be comfortable, make sure your toes are spread. Make sure there's nothing happening in the lower back, so open that up. Take a nice big deep breath in, stretch the fingers. And then exhale. Come back up and just let your hips have some movement. We're going to do that again. So again, you can have the feet together and the knees pushing in towards each other, or block in between the knees, or have the knees apart. I'll turn facewards to face you so you can see it from a different angle. Again, we're going to have that slight pigeon toe. We're going to make sure the lower back is open. And first of all, we're just going to go down and take the knees over the toes. Seems fine so far. Then again, if we want to take the bottom backwards, we're going to have to offset that with our weight coming forwards. Just a as though you're searching for a chair to sit your bottom down in behind you. And then here, before you do anything else, just make sure your back is open and not too sort of engaged. You're still quite open from the front of your body, and then explore with your pelvis, and then take yourself down and hold. And again, you can keep your hands on your hips, you can reach up. If you're reaching up, stretch your fingers, but what tends to happen is you reach to open up the chest, the back begins to arch. So we want to maybe tilt the pelvis very slightly to stop that from happening. Take another big deep breath in through the nose. Let's breathe in deeply. Stay here, exhale. Maybe you want to try going lower. And again, breathing in. And as we exhale this time, coming up and releasing. Just let the whole body kind of feel its way. What happens is as soon as you start working on the feet, it affects the knees, the hips, and then the whole spine wants to follow. Very often when you have neck problems, it can also begin in the feet. So it hurts in the neck, but it begins in the feet. Just again, let your body have some movement. Last thing we're going to do in this little sequence is we're going to take the feet out to the sides, and we're going to take them to the corners of the mat. We're going to make sure the tailbone's not popping out behind us. And we're going to come down, but as we come down, we take the knees out. So lots of the time when I say come down in this position, people pop the bottoms out, so they're searching for that chair pose again, searching for somewhere to pop the bottom. But actually we're going to go straight down and take the knees out. So think about expanding and opening through the hips, pushing the tailbone slightly forward, engaging the glutes here to support the spine, hands on hips, body's nice and high, lower back is open. And we can go down as low as we feel we need to. We can challenge ourselves, or we can stay a lot higher. So it really doesn't matter, it's how comfortable you feel. We're going to feel there's a little bit of contraction through the front here, a little bit of a contraction through the bottom. Nice open shoulders, nice open back. Spread your toes. Maybe put the weight through the little toes, which might not be possible if you're just starting out, because it's going to be quite tight in the inner thigh. Take a nice big deep breath in. Now, this is when you can take the bottom out behind you, lean forward, put your hands on your knees, and then take your tailbone through the body, come up, squeeze the bottom, and straighten the legs. I'm going to do that from a side view, so you can see it slightly differently. So as you can see, we're up nice and straight. We're going to come down. Body's nice and open, knees are opening up. Lower back's not engaged, squeezing through the bottom, slight contraction through the tummy muscles. Then see if we can go down a little bit lower. Head's nice and high, shoulders drop, neck's at ease. Take a nice big deep breath in. Pop the bum out behind you as though you're searching for that chair. Your balance is going to be challenged, so put your hands on your knees, and then with your tailbone, draw a line underneath, push through and up. Squeeze the bottom as you come up and release. Walk your feet in, and then just let your hips have some movement. Just have a little rest. Okay. Namaste.